Oi, you, sticky boot. Well, at least until off for shading, at least. Got some news for you.
There are many different wargames out there, ranging from many different scales. But a recent one that is somewhat tied to a trading card game is Gundam for some reason. Now, this is really cool and all, but I think everyone I know of was wanting the wargame to be on the scale of the original kits you can get. But I think the smaller version works wonders, especially when you have to do all the terrain and the board as well. So this is how you build, paint. Hang on. Did someone sleep on their keyboard when making this name? The obvious start is with priming. I did so with some Raven Black. Let's begin with some basing, shall we? No? Why not? Begin with an all-over cover of the darkness over all the model, as well as the base. This will make sense once you get to basing. After that, use some Dragon Red, as I have never planned to follow the paint scheme. Oh come on, you should know me by now. Then use some Gothic Blue to add some extra colour to the other armour platings. Well, in Lancer it can give you a feel no paint. Here, it's just fashion. Now onto metallics, starting with plate mail metal, going over all the different areas where inner machinery would be visible. And finish the step with some Emperor Gold, going over different areas. I, for example, did it on some trim, the shield trim, as well as the other little greeblies found on the body. Alright, let's go and dampen everything down. By that I mean shading. Get your mind out of the gutter. Begin with some dark tone, going over all of the black areas. Don't worry too much if you miss any locations. Follow it up with some vine root shade, going over the areas I covered with red. Well, purplish red, but shh. Before moving to shading the metallics, use some blue tone to emblue the blue used for all the blued areas. Blue. And like that, I already start to forget to show off the previous step. Anyway, use some grim dark shadow over all of the steel areas. Complete the step with some warm skin shade over all of the golden areas. Oh yeah, remember what I said at the start of the video? Well, after losing my vocals for a slight moment, we can now move on to layering. Also, don't worry about the energy and eyes, I have a plan that you will see later. Let's start with a dark blue. Using some abyssal blue, simply add an edge highlight over all those dark blue areas. Now for a paint that would most likely get this video banned on TikTok. Blood Chalice, going over all the red areas. If you are seeing this on TikTok, I don't know what got my 2nd edition Marine and Orc video banned, probably the names of the chapter and clan. Next we use some Alpha Blue, removing any taint from the name and applying it to the blue areas on this Gundam. Move on to the metallics now with some Mithril, going over the steel areas. Doing so will unfortunately remove the thrill from the myth. Immediately finish the step after that with some greedy gold, going over all of the golden details. Don't forget to wash your water pot before moving on to matte colours. I told you that I'll be painting the eyes later on. How many of you didn't believe me? Don't lie now. I'll know. I swear, I'm not kidding, I will know. Start with some company grey, going over all of the areas you're wanting the glow effects on. My example includes the axe, its wire, the eyes, and the jets on the back. I also highlighted the areas with some matte white, just as some extra detail that'll be under all the glow paints. It'll make sense in the end. The first of the glows is Lens Flare Glow, using the paints over the white of the eyes. I mean, you might need to get a little bit too close to them in order to get it correctly. And finally, some Plasma Glow Blue over the rest of the white areas planned for the energy areas. And then that's pretty much the step done. Yeah. Now onto the base. Yeah, the longest part of the video is in fact the base, as I have gone for a more space styled base instead of the something standard of just like texture, shade, dry brush, that's it. Ah well, get back to work. First part is as simple as adding lunar desert to the small rock the model is jumping from. It will be coloured in order to look like an asteroid in the near future, like a few seconds from now. Once dried, use Pine Hollow shade over the rock. I like this wash, it's really nice to use for shading whites. Let it dry, then use some Brigade Grey. I use this to highlight the asteroid, finishing said textured area so you can move on to the more important part. Spires! I started with making a simple purple nebula. I began with Terrestrial Titan, heavily watered down, and put it as a blob in one part of the base. I then used a dried brush and went over the edges of that blob to add detail. Drying will be needed after each step of the nebula, but continue on with some Cultist Purple, also watered down heavily and applied over the previously painted area. And to finish off the nebula, use some Violet's Coven, still heavily watered down over the previous two purples. Those paints do not need to be neat at all. We begin the stars with some Ember Veil, depicting red giants such as Pollux, only needing to be dots, unless you're wanting to add in a couple of those plus shapes. A more aptly named paint now, Space Dust. This is going to be used to depict yellow stars such as Sol, or even the real Tau Ceti. Now for the final star style with Sky Shard. For the biggest star, I decided to go for the Tau system stars found in Warframe, that of a white dwarf and a blue giant. This was recorded the day before TennoCon, so that's why it's here. And finally, since we are out of June, use some matte black over the base rim like old times. Once that is all done, the model should look somewhat like this. And there you have it. Honestly, for my first painted Gundam Mini, it isn't bad. There are some areas of improvement for myself for sure, but for what I aimed for, it worked well. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you like this and want to see more. As always, there is a form you can fill out in my link tree for any recommendations you want me to do for a video.
Bye.